Okay, I'm assuming this is recording?
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Love all these gadgets that you have.
we
You're on a Kindle,
Yeah.
I'm on an iPhone.
Yeah.
Wow. Think of when we started. Yeah.
We know Harsha the commentator through your words behind the microphone. But tell us a bit about Harsha the man before he got where he was. Surely that's a story worth knowing for our
I
fans.
don't know actually. I don't know whether it's worth recounting, but it's such a long time ago. I went to school. I played cricket for my school side for 4 years. I went up to university. I played in the lower division for 2 years. I played senior division at the university for 3 years, and then got picked for the overall university side to play in the All India Inter-University, which was the level of cricket I played. And I always say that if you've played enough cricket to understand pain and joy, because then you know enough. I mean, you need to know what it is like to be on the field. You need to understand pitches. I don't understand pitches, so you'll never find me talking about pitches because I don't understand pitches. But if you can understand pain and joy, and if you can understand the emotion that goes with it, then you're all right to follow cricket. So I played that much cricket. I did chemical engineering, so it was a very busy college time for me. I had an advanced diploma in French. I was doing chemical engineering. I was playing cricket, so it was a really busy time for me. And I think that's the the age between 18 and 24
Yeah.
is a blessing for people, and you should never let it go.
Yeah.
So I had a great time there. Then went into management school. I was very lucky to get into India's #1 management school. So things happened to me, and then one thing led to another.
So how did you come to commentary?
I did commentary on Ranji Trophy matches in Hyderabad, which is a story in itself. I recorded a game that we were doing. I was batting for 6-7 I think that day, so I recorded commentary on a large, you know how the big cassette players used to be. You won't know, you're still a young kid, but you know the large cassette players used to have. So I put in the cassette, hit record and play it together, and I did about 10-12 minutes of commentary of my team openers batting. It created quite a scene in the dressing room because everyone wanted to hear my commentary on their batting. But I was 18 then, 18, just touching 19 I think. I was 19 then, yeah. And then All India Radio wouldn't listen to my commentary. So my father taught at the university, and he knew a professor of Urdu there called Dr. Zeenat Sajida. She was a very nice lady. Her son was briefly at school with me too. And we spoke in a Hyderabadi accent, and I don't know if people in Pakistan, where largely this is going to go, I think would be able to pick up my Dakhani accent. But he said to her, बच्चे की टेप नहीं सुन रहे हैं? तो ऐसा कैसा नहीं सुनते? वो स्टेशन डायरेक्टर को बुलाती हूँ मैं, हमारे पड़ोसी से बुला लेके जो है खाने पे बुला लेके सुनाएंगे ना जब क्या है. And as it turned out, the station director was a very, very jovial, solidly built man from Lahore.
Yeah.
His name was J.D. Baveja, and he had moved in 47 across, but still was larger than life. And he told us stories about growing up in Lahore. He must have been a child then. And he listened to the tape, and he gave me a break on a Ranji Trophy match. So one thing led to another. So that's how it started actually. There's always good people in the world.
Your favorite commentators growing up? Do you remember one-liners like we do, like watching YouTube videos and all?
Look, I read about the aura around Arlott and John Bryan Johnston and all these people, and I discovered as I grew up that it was largely because they no one catalogs their stuff better than the British do, and nobody lets gold go through like we on the subcontinent do. So we don't believe in archiving. Whereas the English are very good at archiving, keeping records. You know, it started probably the East India Company, just keep records of everything. And they promoted their own people. So we always grew up thinking Arlott and Johnston were brilliant, and they just came up with magic words like that. Until I met Peter Baxter many years later, and who was the producer of Test Match Special, when I was working on Test Match Special. And he said, you know, John Arlott's best off-the-cuff lines were often his most rehearsed.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm learning something new about it. But they were great commentators, no doubt at all. But you know, in those days, there wasn't television to distract the radio broadcaster. All the great radio broadcasters. If you look at the era of great radio broadcasters, you look at Arlott and Johnston from England, you look at McGillivray here in Australia, you look at Charles Fortune in South Africa. These are all people who made their name in the pre-television era. So everyone had to listen to the radio. Bobby Talyar Khan, our legendary commentator in India. But I didn't listen to a lot of them. So to that extent, my style wasn't influenced too much, except by a very fine radio commentator in India called Anand Setalwad, whom I used to look, and he had a lovely cadence to his voice, but I didn't remember expressions. I didn't know. Maybe that helped actually, because if you try to copy somebody, you only become second best.
Relating to that, how different is it doing radio to TV commentary?
Radio is easier.
Yeah.
Radio is a million times easier. Radio is far more fun than television can ever dream of being. Because in television is much like the game. If you see cricket's a stop-start game.
Yeah.
Television's a stop-start medium. Especially on the subcontinent more than anywhere else, but now largely all over the world. It's a stop-start medium. So if there's nothing happening on the ground, you don't have to fill too much because the pictures are telling you everything. And you're constantly going into a commercial break. So you're having to do 15-second comments, 20-second comments, no more. And now I notice 9 and I notice Sky using 3 commentators at a time, which means you're jostling around for the little space in between. So you're probably down to a 10-12-second comment in between. Whereas radio uses a stop-start game and gives it continuity. You don't pause in the breaks.
Yeah.
So radio is a storyteller's medium. So radio, anybody who likes broadcasting will like radio, but he will do television because television gives you great living. It gives you fame, it gives you attention, it gets you noticed. Especially like me, you've been an anchor, you've been a front man. People know you. It has its benefits.
You said in one of your tweets that doing radio commentary here with ABC is one of the most pleasurable experiences.
It's the only place I do radio commentary. The last radio commentary was 4 years ago, and the last radio commentary before that was another 4 years earlier. Because I used to do BBC Test Match specials in 2002, and then I found that with my television commitments, it was becoming difficult to match their roster, whereas ABC were willing to adjust their roster for me. I don't know, ever since I landed in this country, first time in 91, I just took to it like it was mine. I like the attitude of people here. They come hard at you, they speak their point of view. You'll never find an Australian hiding his point of view, but they're always receptive of your point of view. And so I found that I got accepted very quickly in this country. It meant a huge amount to me. I came as a 31-year-old, and to be accepted in another country is brilliant. As a broadcaster, to be accepted in another country, and the ABC have been very, very nice to me.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I regard it as my second broadcasting home.
Okay. What's the first?
I hosted cricket on ESPN Star till I opted not to renew my contract 2 years ago. It was my home. So. And these things don't go away. We on the subcontinent are sentimental people. No, we don't forget these things.
Is that like because of family commitments?
No, I wanted more freedom. I wanted to do more things. I was off television for too long. I could see the electronic medium and the social media mushrooming, and I couldn't do any of that. I couldn't have a blog. And mostly it was starting to come in the way of the work that my wife and I do, which is all about using lessons from sport for managers. And we do a lot of corporate training programs in India. We've done well over 300 now. Our book that was released in May last year has already done 45,000 copies.
Okay.
So it was coming in the way of all that. So I was getting a little negative about things, and I didn't want to live life like that.
Memorable moments in the commentary box. Any funny moments that you can share that don't get out to the public?
Funny will come more in radio. But I remember some very funny moments in Toronto when
the Sahara Cup days.
Oh, the Sahara Cup was... Jeffrey was so funny. I mean, Tony Cozy had to throw to me. Jeffrey and me were up on the terrace at the Toronto Cricket... It's called Toronto Cricket Foot Skating and Curling Club. It was so cold that we all had to borrow the cameraman's clothes when we went up. And Jeffrey had covered himself up to his nose and then his hat up so you could only see the eyes. And everybody in the studio was laughing. And I didn't know because he was standing a foot behind me. And we couldn't get anything out on air for about 30 seconds. We were just laughing. Television doesn't throw up that many funny moments because of the nature of the medium. But here on television with karaoke, from the last 2 trips that I've been here, has been mind-blowing. The most memorable, without a shadow of doubt, my most memorable moment has been the India-Pakistan Test match in '99 in Chennai. I mean, there was such a lot of build-up. It was a security tour more than anything else. But Chennai is a great city from that point of view. Chennai is not one of these provocative cities. Chennai is a cricket-loving city. And they couldn't care less. The north of India has been affected more by what happens on the border. The south, not that much. But there was such a lot of security, and it was a very close match. Tendulkar played one of his best ever innings, and Pakistan won by 12 runs.
Yeah.
And Wasim took the side on a victory lap. Can you imagine coming to India, winning a test match and taking your side on a victory lap? It would be unheard of today.
Yeah.
But could only happen in Chennai. And as he was going round on the victory lap, it was almost like a giant Mexican wave. Everybody stood up and applauded the Pakistan side. And I spoke about it many years later to Wasim, and he said he couldn't believe what was happening. But I was about to, after the presentation, I was about to throw, saying, thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, we'll meet in Delhi for the second test match. We've had a great test match. Standard was about to throw, and suddenly I heard the producer in my ear say, keep talking, I'm giving you pictures. Keep talking, I just want you to talk over the pictures. Keep talking. And then in about 10-15 seconds, he gave me these pictures. And I was just, my hair stands up when I still see it. It was just the most unbelievable sight. And I remember that little piece of commentary where I said that at last sport and followers of sport have shown that it transcends everything else.
Yeah.
That there is a community of sports that transcends another community. So it was fantastic. I asked Wasim about it and he said, I won't do it in Delhi. So, I don't know if you could do it in Lahore and Karachi. I don't know, but...
Yeah. Your thoughts on what's going wrong here with the Indian side?
India always struggle overseas. We tend to lose the first test match everywhere we go. It's a history. I mean, last year, late 2010, went to South Africa, again lost the first test. Went to England, lost the first test. Came here 2007-8, lost the first test. I don't know what it is.
There's something more than that, like England and now here.
Yeah, but what happens when you lose the first test is you're on the back foot.
Yeah.
And then when you're on the back foot, you need something remarkable to pull you back. And very often that remarkable thing would come from the Dravids or the Lakshmans or the Tendulkars. Kumble was a very tough captain. You had people like those to spark the revival. By now, I would have liked India to be in a stage where Dravid and Lakshman are support players, maybe even batting 5 and 6. Support players, the young kids by now should have broken the door open and got in.
Do you think they've been given opportunities?
Every time a kid's been given an opportunity, he's not taken it. Yuvraj had many, Raina had some, Virat has now played 6 test matches. Cheteshwar Pujara is in the eyes of some, our next big batting prospect. Got a brilliant 72 against Australia and India, went to South Africa, struggled. So then the captain has got to decide at all times, what is my best chance? Like here at Perth, what is my best chance? Is Kohli my best chance, Rohit my best chance, or Lakshman still my best chance? And Lakshman knows how to play in these conditions. If he gets a 20-30, he's more likely to give me 100.
Yeah.
So I'm a little disappointed with India's young batsmen for not having knocked off at least one of the seniors and kept the other 2 on tenterhooks. And that's not happened. So that is something I'm a little worried about with the Indian batting. And we've never been a great bowling country, to be honest. I mean, Kumble used to hold it up for a long, long time. Kumble used to hold it up. But even when Srinath was our best new ball bowler, and Srinath was a very fine bowler, with Srinath Kumble, we never had a third seamer.
Yeah.
So we've always, which is why India do well on the subcontinent, because on the subcontinent the new ball doesn't count.
What do you think of Dhoni's captaincies overseas?
I like him I like him as captain because sometimes the game looks very simple from 100 yards and it looks even easier from 8,000 kilometers. So the game looks very simple. And I don't go that much into captaincy because you've got to trust your man to back his instinct, and over a career, Dhoni's instincts have been right more often than wrong. There's a feeling he's a better one-day captain, but it could also be because India's a better one-day side than a test side currently. Certainly on the subcontinent, we're a better one-day side than a test side at the moment. So it could be that he gives the impression he's a better one-day captain, but you must also see the people he has. In England, Dhoni, who would he attack with? Zahir Khan was gone. Ishan Sharma was running and was not getting wickets. Praveen Kumar was bowling all day, but Praveen Kumar is not an Anderson or a Dale Steyn.
But over here, they have a really good bowling attack.
It seems that way. If it was a really good bowling attack, then Australia from 37 for 3 should not have made 650.
Yeah, but the field placements were all back on the boundary.
It's easy to say. As I said, it's easy to say. Maybe he's a little more defensive, but maybe there's something in his mind. Maybe he doesn't trust his bowling that much. Or maybe the wounds of England are too strong.
Okay.
So I tend to think that you've appointed a captain, it's 100 yards away, easy game, and 8,000 kilometers away, very easy game. So, Saurav Ganguly once told me captains, he gets it right 5 times out of 10, and he was a fine captain.
Yeah.
So maybe he's a little defensive, but maybe there's a voice inside him saying, I don't trust my bowling.
You see questions being raised if they lose 4-0 here?
Of course, and they should be raised. I see nothing wrong I see nothing wrong in raising questions, and I see nothing wrong in taking tough calls.
Okay.
Because India have now about 8 months to 9 months without a test match.
And they have 2 years without an overseas tour.
Which is the damaging part of it all. Because when you play in India, everything gets glossed over. Ashwin and Oja won you a series against the West Indies.
Yeah.
Neither of them is going to win you a series in Australia or England. So you can gloss over a lot of things. Lakshman and Ishan Sharma can win you a test match with the bat against Australia. Can they do it in Australia?
Yeah.
So the 2 years there, you can look at it two ways. You can say, look, in those 2 years, Lakshman and Dravid will still keep giving you runs. Or you can say, great time to blood a young kid, let him get 8 or 10 test matches, but you still won't know how he'll play when in 2013, you do South Africa, England, Australia, that same cycle all over again. But my concern is that the other team that plays for India, which is the administration, should never allow South Africa, England, Australia to follow in quick succession. But we don't worry too much. We don't spend too much time thinking of itineraries.
Yeah.
We don't spend too much time thinking of how to make the best of a tour. So in 2008, we came here and had 48 overs of cricket before the first test match. If I was an Australian captain, I would have died laughing. So I think on the subcontinent, we lose the administration war. I mean, look at Pakistan. We look at from the outside at Pakistan and we marvel at the Pakistan players coming through, and you laugh at the administration. Pakistan's administration lets Pakistan down every hour.
Yeah.
To some extent that happens, to a lesser extent in India. When you look at Pakistan, you think Pakistan should be in the top 3 countries in the world consistently for the kind of players they produce. So I think we lose the administration battle on the subcontinent. Sri Lanka's broke and Bangladesh hasn't grown in 15 years.
Pakistan-India series, your thoughts on that and why it isn't happening?
So
If it should...
You can be romantic about India-Pakistan cricket. A lot of us can be romantic about India-Pakistan cricket. You need to be realistic about India-Pakistan cricket too. Where will India-Pakistan cricket play and what will it lead to? To be honest, I don't see an Indian team going to Lahore and Karachi. And I don't think it's prudent at the moment for a Pakistan team to come and play. Because the political reality is one of the sad things of our life. And whether you like it or not, India and Pakistan are political entities. Sport can break some barriers. I thought our best chance was in the phase 2004 to 2006. It is my greatest professional regret that I wasn't in Pakistan in 2004. Because every single Indian I met who went to Pakistan called it a magical tour.
You weren't there.
It is my greatest professional regret that I wasn't on that tour. Because by the time, and I remember being on the other end of an interview with Mr. Cheriar Khan. By the end of that series in 2004, the India enclosures had been removed. Anybody was sitting anywhere. And there were people with an India flag on one cheek and a Pakistan flag on one cheek. And I thought that was, post that 99 in Chennai, the strongest statement that you could make. I thought that was our best chance of playing more cricket together. And then in 2006, Pakistan came to India, and in Mohali, people opened their doors. Pakistani people stayed with Indian families to go and watch the test match together. And it showed that culturally you're similar. But since then, I think we've gone downhill very, very quickly. And I think one of the reasons that I don't understand politics is that a lot of people, it is in the interest of a lot of people not to have good relations.
You think...
So I worry about India-Pakistan cricket. And there's no point playing India-Pakistan cricket in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know what the future is, to be honest.
Like PCB is very adamant. They're open now after Ijaz Butt has gone that we want to play in India even. Do you think BCCI is trying hard enough? Like they're a pretty powerful organization. They can put some pressure on the government. Right?
They could. But I don't see a window till for another year.
Okay.
Because India finish in Australia 10th of March, IPL starts 4th of April.
There was that window there, but
between 10th March and 4th of April. Look at it this way. 10th March to 4th of April means you want to finish by 1st of April.
Yeah.
10th March means you can't start till the 15th of March at least.
Yeah.
Do you want India-Pakistan to play for 15 days or do you want India-Pakistan to play for 1.5 months?
You think there's a case that the IPL should be pushed back?
IPL cannot be pushed back because there is no other window. By June you can't play cricket in India because it starts to rain in most parts of the world. So you cannot play, by mid-June you cannot play IPL. By end of May, already in the south, the monsoon has started advancing. So you have to play the IPL in April, May. You can't carry it on into June. And you definitely cannot play in October because you won't get a 6 to 8 week window in October. And the IPL is the biggest brand in Indian cricket at the moment. So you cannot push that back.
Mm-hmm.
So it left a 15-day window. I would like to see India play Pakistan over 1.5 or 2 months.
Yeah.
To see if a side can come back from being down, 1.5, 2 months to see how it combats adversity. So in a sense, I'm happy it's not happening in 2012 because it would have been a crushed 2 tests and no one days tour. Just come play 2 tests and go. Get out from the airport, go straight to the ground, go in a convoy to the next city, go and play Delhi Mohali maybe or play Chennai Mohali maybe or whatever. So in a sense, I'm glad it didn't happen now. But I'd love to, for 2 people to sit together, but 2 governments to sit together and see if you can play cricket.
Who do you love commentating with?
No, I'm never going down that path again, because I was very honest and open about who I like doing commentary with, and a lot of people didn't like what I said because they assumed that because I didn't say up front, it meant I disliked working with them, which was ridiculous. So I'm not going down that path again. It doesn't help me, it doesn't help anybody.
Your thoughts on commentary these days? A lot of commentators they were commentating just because they're ex-players, and it's almost painful to hear.
Look, it's a tricky one for me. My views on this are very strong, but if I give out my views, then I project myself as almost as a loser. Saying, look, I didn't play cricket. Because I didn't play cricket, he holds these point of view. I mean, I played university cricket, which, as I said, decent enough for me. But because I didn't play international cricket, whatever I say will be covered by that one fact. But I have seen far too many former cricketers not understand their audience and not understand their medium. Cricket broadcasting is about two things. It's about knowing the game and it's about being able to communicate. If you can only communicate and you don't know the game, you've got half a chance. I mean, by not knowing the game, it's not like saying I'm sitting for a thermodynamics exam after studying English literature all my life.
Yeah.
It's not quite as bad as that. But if you know the game and can't communicate, it's even worse.
Yeah.
And I think far too many boards these days and far too many television producers these days are focusing on the knowing bit and ignoring the communicating bit. And that's why commentary is getting boring. I believe that today, for a cricketer on the subcontinent, not in other parts, on the subcontinent, for a cricketer, the bar to cross over is very small. For a non-cricketer, it's much higher. And I consider myself very lucky that I started before this happened. Today I wouldn't get a chance. I wouldn't even get a first-class match today.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky I started when I did. But I think that there are two specific roles you can play. I do not think a television commentary panel or any commentary panel can be made up only of non-internationals. Because there is a certain gravitas, there is a certain credibility that the cricketer brings in. If the cricketer can communicate, he's got the best combination. There's no doubt in my mind at all. But you need a combination of the two for someone to keep the story going, number one, and two, to understand the fan. You know, sometimes when you've been a cricketer, lived in a bubble, you don't understand the fan. And to explain to the fan is something that is almost below your, not below dignity, almost, you know, ये क्या चीज़ है बोलने वाली है तो सबको पता है. लेकिन जो फैन होता है, उसको ये समझ नहीं आती हर चीज़. तो जैसे मैं अक्सर कहता हूँ कि 14 साल के लड़के को टेस्ट प्लेयर सिखा नहीं सकता क्रिकेट. टेस्ट प्लेयर उसी को सिखा सकता है जो शायद अंडर 19 या फर्स्ट क्लास क्रिकेट खेला हो. 14 साल के प्लेयर को उस लेवल का ही कोच चाहिए. तो you need two kinds of people to in a commentary box to reach out to the audience.
How are schedules come up with in the commentary strings? Is it preference, random?
No, it's a producer's call. It's a producer's call.
Because you get the feeling that Gavaskar and Ravi Shastri are always on when there's a big moment coming. What?
I don't know. I've never worried about that. I mean, I come in the morning. I know that on days that I'm hosting, I know what time I have to host. I just look at the roster. I say, who's with me? In my mind, I'm ready, okay? Because I know how I've worked a lot with the Gavaskar, the Shastri, with the Wasim, with the Chappelli, with the Boycott. I know how to make them feel comfortable.
So it's not like, oh, Tendulkar 200 is coming, let these two come in.
I don't know if it's like that, but I won't lose sleep over it, honestly. I mean, that is a producer's call. If a commentator is trying to influence a producer, that's not a great way to live.
Yeah.
So I just come in the morning, I look at because I want to have fun, don't forget. I don't want to start looking at conspiracy theories because then I won't have fun. And if I don't have fun, my career is not worth doing.
Yeah.
So I come and look at the roster. Like, for example, here I love working with Kerry.
But the roster doesn't change over the day, right?
It does sometimes. Sometimes, suppose in television, suppose someone's got to rush down to do a tea time thing, then you quickly swap sometimes.
Okay.
So it changes sometimes. But I don't lose sleep over that. I just come and look at the roster and I say, okay, when am I on? It doesn't matter who I'm on with.
I guess you've already answered this. Any moment you wish you were commentating when you weren't? The Pakistan-India tour in 2003?
No, I wish I was on air when India won the 2011 World Cup.
Okay.
And it is my perennial regret that when India won the 2007 T20 World Cup, there wasn't an Indian on the air. Just as I wish when
Ravi was on the air.
Well, he had to go away for the presentation very quickly, and Bumble was on air. And Bumble, David Lloyd's a fine broadcaster, as fine a broadcaster as any you will see. But to understand what it meant to an Indian, I don't know how old you were when Pakistan won the 92 World Cup.
Yeah, like 5 years old.
But if you were a kid in Lahore or Karachi or Hyderabad or anywhere, if you were 12, 13 years old, You needed the broadcaster there to understand what it meant for a young Pakistani kid of 12, 13 years old to win the World Cup. And nobody else can understand that but someone who's been a 12 or 13-year-old kid in Lahore or Karachi. So I thought when India won, it was a broadcasting blunder. That if England had won the World Cup and I was on air, with 5 minutes to go, I should have moved out and let an English commentator in.
Yeah.
And that happens all over the world. So yeah, I would have liked to be on air on those 2 moments. Yeah. But that's okay. I've had so many happy moments that I've got much more than I've lost. Yeah. So what am I complaining about?
I get a feeling a lot of good commentary is based on who you're surrounded by.
To some extent.
If you have a team of expert commentators around you, they can make you sound much better.
You mean you talk on me in particular, or
like, for instance, the example I can think of is Manjrekar sounded amazing when he was surrounded by the Sky Sports team.
Yes.
And doesn't sound that great.
I'll tell you there's a reason.
Yeah.
Commentary and a telecast.
A
Commentary and a telecast has to be driven by the producer. If you have a great pitch, if you have a good pitch, you have a good cricket match. If you have a damn good producer, you have a good telecast. Because the producer will handle it and see to it that things are going very well. He'll put in things at just the right time. He'll put away. He'll guide the commentator through. And there is a work ethic in television that is paramount, that on the subcontinent we take too many liberties with sometimes.
Yeah.
And that work ethic is paramount. So, yeah, it does. Yeah, if you're surrounded by certain people. I mean, I can imagine if Wasim was playing for Zimbabwe. With no disrespect to Zimbabwe, but at the time Zimbabwe weren't the force, or even today aren't the force. Would he have become the player he became had he not met Imran Khan?
Yeah.
What would be the story of Wasim's life if Wasim had not met Imran? So maybe that's the answer there.
But specifically talking about commentators with you, commentating, like in the commentary box, do you feed off good commentators?
Always. And each commentator feeds off the other. Because it's about making each other comfortable in the box. You always feed off each other. There's no doubt at all.
So,
if one commentator doesn't rate the other, then you can sense it straight away.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Ganguly as a commentator? He seems to have excellent insight. Seems to be like a genuine,
I'll tell you what I like about Saurav. I would like Saurav to work with a damn good producer. What I like about Saurav is that he doesn't sit on the fence.
Yeah.
A commentator who says this could happen or this could happen, you don't need an expert then for that. You and I could say that. He speaks his mind. He understands players because this generation is still the generation he played with. He understands the Indian psyche. He understands what it is to be insecure. He understands what it is to be confident. But he's not afraid of saying it. So he's not afraid of saying it, and that is what you want from a good broadcaster. At the moment, all I would tell Saurav if I was a broadcaster, he says breathe a little. He's like a very eager child who wants to enjoy all the toys, which happens, So he will, in course of time, find the right mean on how much to talk, but he's been a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
आप हंस रहे हैं अपनी सवाल पे?
Yeah. Do you see the forced commercialization creeping into commentary, like in the IPL with the DLF maximums and City moments of successes?
I can see why, but I don't.
The art.
I can see why it's coming in because it's maximizing revenue to have it as part of the commentary.
But do you what your
The reason I don't like it is because the fundamental bond that exists between a broadcaster and the audience is trust. That is a fundamental bond. The moment you are in the audience, or like I am sitting at home, I must trust the broadcaster telling me the story. I must know that the broadcaster is impartial. I must know the broadcaster speaking his mind. And I must know the broadcaster is not tainted by other considerations. So the moment you have the commercial mentions coming out of a commentator's voice, to some extent that bond is attacked. How far you let that go, if it's a sign of the times, I don't know. If it's a DLF 6 or a Carbon Kamal catch, it's the lesser of the two evils.
Yeah.
But where I drew the line, when I was doing commentary, was when I had to do product descriptions. When I had to say, what a great car this is, it does this, has the best motion, has the best this thing, whatever, it's one of the best cars on the road. I said, no, I'm not a brand spokesman. A brand spokesman, a brand endorsee is a separate category of people. I'm a cricket broadcaster, I'm not a brand endorsee. When I say DLF maximum, It's a lesser evil because I'm not saying DLF is the top housing contractor in India. Or if I say MRF, whatever, I'm not saying MRF make the best tires, which I was asked to do once and I said no. Because the moment I say MRF make the best tires, then I'm a brand spokesman, I'm being untrue to the audience. I would like ideally for that not to happen. I think Indian cricket makes enough money without having to squeeze in a little bit more from there, because the public doesn't like it.
Yeah.
And eventually you have to give the public what it wants.
Thank you.
No worries. Actually, Urdu में करते हैं और